Howdy y'all, got the Bulldog on the channel. What we got here is an '08 Chevy half-ton pickup. It's got 5.3 in it, and rough idle when it first starts up, and after a few seconds it comes out of it and runs fine. Now this is a customer request, it makes sense. He's checked around on it. He didn't tell me that before he told me the symptoms, and I said, well, it's probably going to be an intake manifold, but we could check it. And he said, well, that's what he checked around everywhere else, had the same idea. So basically he wants to just go ahead and drop it on there and see if that does it. What they do is when they're cold, the rubber shrinks up and they let air suck past them, because the bolts have torque limiters on them. They won't torque down any more than what they after they hit. So you can't tighten them up anymore. You would want to, because then if you could, you just split the gasket out and leak like sieve. So, but they have an update kit for these engines that replaces the plastic framed silicone gasket with a metal framed rubber inlaid gasket. So it's not supposed to ever do it again. I have not had to redo any one of them. So we'll get started on this one. Okay, got it out of there. You can see there's been a nest built in there. There's a mess everywhere. You saw me blow it off, but still, the next step is to, yeah, this thing didn't do anything. But the next step is to suck all that off, clean it all off, blow the ports out, make sure that you don't have any junk down in there. You're supposed to plug those holes, but I don't, because you got to clean them and clean around them and do all that kind of stuff. So you got to clean them out anyway. Preferred is to use a vacuum sweeper to suck all that stuff up and then blow out the holes. So you're not blowing a bunch of stuff around and get down in there, just in case you got an open valve and it gets down in the cylinder and then you have a bad day. Now this vacuum booster has got some kind of weird quick connect down in this hole. It's easier to just take the other end loose, pull it out, which is what I did. I was gonna pull it up because I thought this stayed with the vehicle. It doesn't, so that's fine. I just did it this way. Looky here. This spot right here is all folded up, sucks air right past it. I always look, and here's another one over here, almost the same. Always look for reasons, especially whenever you're dealing with something that is a customer request. It makes sense, but you know, you never know. Most of them are okay, but some of them are not. This would have definitely caused a misfire right there. Then as soon as the vehicle starts to warm up just a little bit, it reseals. The information goes back to normal, and there's no evidence that it's ever happened other than a random misfire or single cylinder misfire code and perhaps a lean mixture code. Those are the ones that are a nightmare. And then the customer has an appointment to bring it in. It's warm already. You need it cold to properly test it. So I was glad to find evidence when I pulled this apart. Now there is a proper way to test for this, but the vehicle has to be cold, 12 hours or something like that. And what you do is you have your computer hooked up, you have in your screen the O2 sensors. You start it up, and while it's running, you spray something flammable, brake clean or carb clean or whatever, along the tops of these. Try to get it down in between, but it won't change the pitch of the engine at all because the computer compensates so well so quickly. Especially on Chevrolets, they're a lot better at, learning. But if you spray that along that area while you're watching your block learn, short-term fuel trim, anything like that, the short-term fuel trim will move whenever it sucks past this spot and gets in here, because that's unmetered fuel. Your short-term fuel trim will try to take fuel away because it sees it being too rich. And that is how you check for an intake manifold gasket or an unmetered air leak, is you spray it with stuff while you're watching the short-term fuel trim on your O2 sensors. Okay, got everything cleaned out. Now these new gaskets, of course, they're steel, and they clip down onto this bolt here, for this inner head bolt. Just clip down in place, make sure they lock down in place in 4 different positions. Of course, I had it all cleaned out. I pulled out them foam things. They're supposed to keep stuff out from underneath, but what they do is they get in your way, and they provide bedding for the mice. So I take them out. I don't know if I should or not, but that's my thoughts on it. Everything's cleaned up, ready to go back together. One thing I will point out is the bolts, they stick down through and they like to catch on stuff. So I pull them out, well, except for this one. It's got this little tab on it here for the fuel rail, and I just kind of cocky it out of the way so that it doesn't stick down in there. And I'll put them in later. Now, I just get them started, and once I get them started, I give this thing a good shake. It's a dry gasket, so you don't have to worry about sealant or anything, but you give a good shake, move it around, make sure everything's seated right before you torque it down. And there is a torque spec to this, so you don't just send it, but there's limiters. You can't over torque it without twisting it off. So, pay attention. All right, torque wrench ready. Now we're gonna torque this thing down. Torque them in a pattern inside to outside, and it's 44 inch-pounds for the first pass and 89 inch-pounds for the second pass. We want to do a third pass too at 89 inch-pounds just to make sure nothing moves. Okay, we got everything torqued up. Now we just got to plug everything back in, fire it up, clear the codes, make sure it's good. Okay, that's it, start to finish. Like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to you later.